Good morning, everyone. We are sorry for the delay, just some technical issues, but we thank God that it's already resolved. Once again, my name is Ajadi Olatunde. I'll be your facilitator. And before we commence, I'd like to do a little assessment just to be sure that all expectations are met. This particular training session is about LDAP, installation and management, and any other thing you can think of during this course of training. I'd like to ask if we have people who have ever worked on LDAP server before. Do we have such people in this workshop? Have you ever worked on LDAP server? Okay, good. We have one, two. Okay. Oh, sorry. I have to be. Okay, we only have three people who have worked on LDAP. So let me start by asking for those of us who have not done anything close to, you have not done anything that is close to LDAP. I'm sure you must have read us something before now about what it does. If I can have few people to just give me your expectation, at least I want you to represent those people who have never done anything, but the few things that you have read, so that I want to be sure that all grants are covered. So for those of you who have read something about it before, even though you have not worked on it, can you please tell me what you know about LDAP, and also give us some what will your expectation be in this training? Okay, thank you.
I know it's Active Directory. I've been involved in using it for authentication on our like a print server thing. That's where I know we have encountered it. So I will really be excited to know we have been using it. I'll really be excited to see how it works and where the trend is about it now.
Yeah, thank you for that. And you that you have worked on it, can you give me your expectation for this, so that we don't want to go back to the things you have learned already, but we still want to be sure that we cover everybody interested and well represented.
Okay, my expectation for this course is to maybe learn more about the LDAP and how we can interact. If LDAP has API that we can interact with in programming language to develop our own stuff using LDAP.
Yeah, thank you. I believe you must be a developer, right? Okay. Because you mentioned API, and I also expect probably somebody from system, maybe you're into system management, also speak, so that you want to say something. Okay.
Maybe good morning. I already work with the server LDAP to manage authentications, going from the defining roles and everything, and then permit clients to log into our system using the LDAP servers. So that's fine.
Thank you. So if I run into trouble, you have to assist me. So I'm a developer, and that's what I've been doing for years now. Even though before then I've worked on several large corporations for over 11 years, and now I run my own one man company for the last 5 years. I've worked on web and applications and several products which were primarily based on Windows operating system, Linux operating system, and that also include an Apache Web Server, Nginx, and LDAP. And then let me just stop there for now. And then I don't know our understanding. I discovered that we've been taking through Linux. We've done introduction. So I don't want to, I don't know how many of us are actually running Windows operating system here. How many? I think we have larger percentage running Windows and then few running Linux. So it to be required some of the things you've been taught in the past, because I was following the training remotely. I know you were taught how to modify files, and I don't know if you were taught how to install package on Linux operating system. I don't know if that one is covered. Okay, because that will be required to install the server. So let's just get it on. And when we get there, we will. What is LDAP? I will start by giving you a scenario before, this is the definition. If you Google the internet, you will see something like this. This is what it is. But if you look at the last word, it's called you see protocol. I don't know if you understand the word protocol. Protocol actually means rules by which two systems can communicate. And then if you possibly you heard of any other protocol, this is supposed to be interactive. Any other protocol that we know about? SSH, good. Any other one? HTTP, which is the most common? HTTP and HTTPS and SMTP and DNS and so on. But if you look at this one, in a layman's term, I will use a lightweight access directory protocol. Even though you often hear the word LDAP, 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 it's just an acronym for lightweight directory access protocol. It's just a protocol which directory server use. Do you understand? It's a protocol. Normally, you could have done something like somebody would be like, okay, why does it have to be a protocol? I don't know if you ever seen this telephone directory before. Has anyone seen something like that before? Telephone book directory. You can hardly find it nowadays. I don't know if you have seen something like that before. Telephone book directory. Telephone book directory. Telephone. Okay, you have seen something like that before. Yeah, usually big. But of course, since you can Google on internet now, I don't think such thing is still being maintained. So nobody does that again. But it's just one of the way to describe what LDAP is. So let me just go to the definition. It's a communication protocol. It's a system of rules that allow two or more entities of communication system to transmit information via any kind of variation of physical quantities. That means there are rules. That means there are ways to communicate using the same protocol. And sorry, I've gone beyond this. What are we going to be covering in this training session? We'll talk about the LDAP basics, in which we'll talk about directory service. You will find out what is LDAP, what is DIT. Those are just some terminology you often encounter when you are dealing with LDAP. LDIF, this is the file. We also talk about the protocol overview, directory structure, and operations such as when you want to modify, do anything on the LDAP server. And then the URLs is similar to just like your HTTP URL. There's a way like this. Yeah, you're talking about something about the API. It's one of the way you can communicate with the LDAP. Yeah. Then we have other data models, usage terminology, and resources before we go to the practical session. My first encounter with LDAP, many of you have heard the word Active Directory. Have you heard the word Active Directory before? Okay, I know you must have heard the word. It's a server too, but it will manage the Windows network. Do we understand? And some of us have not actually even seen the need. Okay, now let me just give you a scenario. And imagine you have this set of system. This workshop is about high performance computing. You have cluster of system. And then imagine, okay, all this, your system represent nodes. Do you understand? and it belongs to this organization. Now, assuming you are transferred, or possibly if somebody has ever worked in bank, you can easily see something like that, whereby the moment they transfer you, you don't go with your system. You only go with your login credentials. But you'll be surprised that when you log into another system, you will still find your files, you will still find your desktop, you still find all your pictures. Do you understand? Do you understand? That is what LDAP, that's what it does. Regardless of wherever you log in on that network, you still find your files the way you have left it in the last system that you use. Do we understand? So there's nothing like, this is my system. No. Only what you need on that network is login credentials. So that's only what you need to carry around. So far, they are telling you that the system doesn't belong to you. It belongs to this corporation. Only the thing, okay, somebody will say, okay, what if I work on this one? Your file is being moved to wherever you work. It does not reside on the last system that you work on. Okay. Now, what is an LDAP? An application protocol for querying and modify directory and services. We will see going to what is a directory service. It runs over TCP, just like every other protocol. Like, if somebody might remind me, what port does HTTP runs on? HTTP 80. 80. What of HTTPS? 443. That's good. And the default port. Those are just default ports. You can change it. You can change it. Like LDAP runs on 3. I don't know if somebody has read it. 38 what? 389. Yes. LDAP runs on 389. But if you set up a local network, you are the one administering your LDAP server, you can easily change the port. If you think, okay, somebody is trying to hack you, at least for an hacker, the first thing they will target is, okay, what they always target is the default port. If you set up a web server, what they will target is port 80. They believe that's the default port. But at least just to make them work harder, you can check the port number. Eventually, they will get the port, because if it's serving if it's running on public domain, eventually they will get it. But in a scenario whereby somebody has written a program, is fully automated, it will just go and be scanning all the systems, and then eventually, okay, it's targeting port 80. So as at that time, your system will be excluded. We understand. So it's running just like the normal HTTP, which uses 80. This one uses 389. Then it also has its own browser. You understand? It has its own browser. You understand? Because many of us do not even realize that your browser is a client. Most people don't even know. Your browser is an HTTP client. So just like you have Mozilla, Chrome, Firefox, all that, the same thing exists for LDAP. There are so many. If you have, I believe we are all connected to the internet. While I'm talking, you can Google such like that. If somebody can please come on, just Google LDAP browser, and just to name few. LDAP browser, just. Okay, that's one. Softera, although I've not heard of that one before. But, PHP, that one is web-based, very, very common. PHP LDAP admin. Yeah, there's so many in this. Then this one, Apache Directory Studio. Yes. Apache Directory Studio. That one is also in browser. Now, why do we use an LDAP? Some of the reasons why we use LDAPs are that, and they are good for quick data recovery. It's a kind of it's a kind of service where you store your employees' information, and you will discover that often in our organization data, your profile information, it doesn't always change. It takes time before it can change, maybe probably 4 years and 5 years. Do we understand? Like your picture now, your picture can be maintained for 4 years. Maybe after 4 years, with the money they have paid you have increased in size, so they couldn't recognize you again. They ask you to come back and you take another picture. So that is meant for something whereby data doesn't change often that much. Do we understand? It doesn't change that much. Somebody will say, okay, why do we need MySQL? That one can equally do the same thing. Basically, what you always do on LDAP server, mostly what you do is you're always reading. You are not writing into it. You want to find information about something, or somebody wants to log into a network. And when you are trying to log into a network using LDAP authentication, it's reading, it's not writing. Do we understand? Except that maybe, okay, that person requests a password change. That's when you are writing. Or maybe, and there's maybe his job description has changed. Things like that. Things like that, it can change, but it takes a while. It's not something maybe you do maybe in a month or 2 months. Do we understand? Oh, sorry, I didn't finish. Now, it's good for quick data recovery and hierarchical-oriented data. Do you have a if you have a terminal, I like you to open it. And I'm talking about Linux terminal. You have access to one. Everybody, please open it and try to log into it. So if you are there, try something like tree, TREE. 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 Type the command and then press enter. No, it should be there by default. 3, yes. It's telling me what can be. It's not installed. Eh? No. Let me. Eh? Oh. I thought it come by as default app on the system, but maybe this version will require to do installation. I just did installation now. Okay, thank you. So 3. Okay, let me go somewhere else. Else. Oh, too much. Okay, this is what I expect you to see. If you type 3, it's just because these files are too much. It's showing you the structure, the tree structure of your directory and the path to your files. I don't know if you have such command on Windows system. Okay, please, you can. Yeah, it's similar to the way LDAP operates. That's what I'm just trying to tell you. This is the way LDAP operates. It's like it's as if you create a folder, and then in that folder, it still contains another folder. But there's a way you reference those folder. You have parent, and that folder itself is referenced as self. And the other one is referenced as the one inside the self is called child. Do we understand? Do we understand? You will see that there's no relationship between all the content of this one and the content if they are in the same path. You have two folders along the same path. There's no relationship between the first, between children of that folder and the children of the other one. There's no relationship. That's the difference between LDAP and the SQL. Do we understand? There's no relationship between them. So you are going to have a structure like this that once you start like this, okay, it can keep going, it can keep going, it can keep going, it can keep going. And for a developer, you must have heard the word, or not even a developer. Maybe some of them, we have researchers there, you have, I don't know if you have the word binary search tree. As a developer, yeah. That's exactly the same way. Sometimes they might ask you to write an algorithm for a binary search tree. It's exactly the same way LDAP works. It keeps going down. When it's looking for anything, it keeps going just like you are searching for a file. You understand? It keeps looking for the root eventually until it gets there. So it's not going to be saying, okay, is it here? No. It keeps going down and keep going down eventually until it finds it. Do we understand? Please. F5. Okay. Now talking about the LDAP servers, we have Open LDAP. Those of you who work on Windows platform, you get to hear this word often, Active Directory. Active Directory, they use it to manage Windows network. But the thing is that it costs money, unlike the other one. We have free IPA, OpenDS, Novell eDirectory, Sun Java System Directory Server, IBM Tivoli Directory Server. There are so many and so on. And the thing is that these are actually built to manage directory service using LDAP protocol. Do we understand? They are actually you can build your own too. You can build your own. If you're a developer, if you understand the protocol very well, it's something you can build, you can write your own. But all these are built to be sure that, okay, it's user-friendly. Because most of us don't like this black screen. You don't like to see the black. That's why many of us don't use Linux. You think it's not that friendly. So some people try to help out. That's why they come up with an application like this. You have an open LDAP, free IPA, Apache, and directory server. And there's another one, Fedora Directory Service. I think I389. There are so many like that. But there's no need for you, although some of us just want the GUI. That's the only way you can do your stuff. All you want is GUI, but going through all this stuff, you have to read a lot because it's about a particular company product now. It's no longer about the LDAP. LDAP is a standard and it's cross-platform. It works anywhere, regardless of what you write. So you have an open LDAP, but the one we'll be installing today and during our practical session is an open LDAP. As the name implies, it said it's open. So that means you can extend it, you can build on it, you can also contribute. If you understand the way you work, you can also contribute to the community of developers. Now, this is the structure. LDAP data structure. This is similar to the file which I just opened the other time. Like you have a file, you have this folder. Do we understand? You have this folder. But the thing is that you can have two folders along the same path. So we have this one, and this one along the same path. And then right here, we still have another folder inside this one. Do we understand? Then this is another folder inside this one. So this and this, they are the same part. They are the child of this one. And then further down, you still have this. This is another folder inside this. This is another folder inside this. Do you understand? Although what it uses is DNS. Do we understand DNS? Domain name system. We are used to, if we are visiting a site, just say something.com, something.com, something.com. That is the convention it uses. Like if you follow this part now, if I want to say this now, this is like PySoftware.com. Do you understand? If I want to make reference to this one, I will say people.good.com. Do you understand now? And the same thing goes for this one. And group.pysoftware.com. And if you want to make reference to this guy here, what do you say? Starting from where? Good. That's good. At least that's just to show us the data structure. It will always be like that, and that's to tell you that every point, it has to be every node has to be unique. Do we understand? We can't have two of these. Just like, okay, imagine you two create a file and give it the same name. How is that going to work? It will never work. You created the first file, you give it, probably you name it something dog. And then in the same folder, you now create another one, dog. Is either override that one or probably maybe you change the name. Do we understand? So it has to be unique. Everything you create there is unique. Do we understand? LDAP URLs. I don't want to go. Let me just jump this. When we get to the practical session, discuss this. Let me move. Okay. What is a directory service? Is highly optimized for it and implement a distributed model for storing information. A directory service can extend the type of information stores and then has advanced search capabilities. Let me take you from one of my deployment. I discovered I tried to do a search on LDAP. It consists of we have 10,000 data of 10,000 lines of entries, and then I compare the speed to SQL. Although, and you can index an LDAP too, just like you perform index on my. Do you understand what index is? Indexing on LDAP, indexing in MySQL. Okay, let me just briefly describe that one. Indexing is like somebody want to help? Okay. Okay. Just like you have at the back of most textbook, it helps you to search for anything. Summary, do we understand? Like you're looking for anything, so database does the same thing. That's why it's able to locate things quickly. Now, to the main component of LDAP, this is where the works begin. Okay. And what I've just shown you before, that tree structure is called DIT. It's called DIT. Directory Information Tree. Let me because we have not done any installation, I want all of us to do the installation together. I don't want to be showing you what I've done. Do we understand? I don't want to be showing you what I've done. I want all of us to do it together. But just like we've said before, this is a structure. This one will be like cu.hpc.com, and then we have a group. And then under here, under the people, we have CN Tola John. You will get to understand what all these things means later. You have an OU, DC. DC stands for domain component. OU stands for organization unit. And then this CN stands for common name. And then DN, distinguished name. Please do not forget that, particularly DN. If I ask you what's the DN of this particular component, the DN is simply OU equals to group, comma, DC is equals to CU, then put comma again, then this is equals to HPC instead of using dots. Do we understand? This time around, you don't use dots. If I'm talking about the DN. Okay, let's take it from here. Look at this one. CN, starting from here. This one is CN is equals to Tola John, then comma. If you go up, look at the structure. You know, this guy, this Tola John is linked to these people. Do you understand? So you can see Tola John, comma, then O is equals to people, then DC, CU, DC, H, and this is equals to HPC, this is equals to .com. The thing about DC is that not necessarily for you to have, you can have as many DC as you want. Do we understand? It's not compulsory. You know, you've seen some domain name like, I don't like visiting all these UK websites. Every time you have to type .co.uk. I was like, can't I just go .co? Why should I be doing .co.uk? They want you to know that, okay, yeah, you are now in UK space. Do we understand? So they can decide to have .london.co.uk. They can have as many as they want. But the challenge here is that they're having to type this long thing like every time .co.uk. I don't like it. But they have the best reason for doing that. So for this one now, and it's always good to spell things out clearly. I have had challenge like not doing the proper documentation for most of my work as a developer. I don't know whether you, as a developer, I don't know whether you've experienced it, where if you don't do proper documentation, you forget almost everything. When you come back to your code, give it 2 weeks. You find it difficult to even understand the thing that you have written. Do we understand? As a developer, even 1 week, you come back and be like, what am I trying to do here? Even though you are the one that's written, you've written the code yourself, but because now, when you name a variable, you didn't give it proper name. You get lazy, look, you just call it A is equals to. And whereas a variable is supposed to indicate what you are trying to do there, what you are trying to store there, but just because you feel like A is shorter, just type A is equals to. It's quicker for you that way, but by the time you come back, you will pay. You will pay. So the same thing applies to this. So they have to be diligent to make sure that they put the proper thing to let people know what they are trying to do by making sure they say, okay, look, we need up to 3 DC. Do we understand? It could have been 2 DC. Assuming they have some subsidiary somewhere. Do you understand? Maybe they at their own level now, they have a break somewhere, right? Their own will be HPC, whatever, maybe comma, then OU people, comma, then they jump this. Do we understand? You can also link this one to this one and jump this one. Do we understand? But it's critical that you name them properly so you can let them express themselves, to let people know this is what you are trying to do. Otherwise, by the time you come back, you also will have problem. Do we understand? So, thank God, I almost forgot. If they are talking about DN, every entry that you refer to, every time you want to refer to an entry in LDAP, you will have this something called DN, distinguished name. As it implies, it's distinguished, it's unique. You will never have 2 of that type. Do we understand? You will never have 2. So this one is DN, and then what they ask you, okay, what is the relative distinguished name. Relative is CN is equals to John. This is just the relative. You need to understand all this terminology, because when you are setting up your server, like when you are using PHP LDAP admin, it will asking you some questions. And if you don't understand those terminology, you will have some problem. I know eventually you get to, because there are so many tutorials online. So this one, they ask you, what is the RDN? Here is the relative distinguished name. RDN is the last one. Do we understand? The last one is always the RDN. But where actually the entire thing here, everything here is distinguished, because this one is going to be different. This one is unique. Do we understand? But the thing is that, I don't know if somebody will ask me like, okay, what if I have this one, this DN, what if I have it here? Do you think it will work? Can somebody please answer the question? Why? Okay. What I'm saying is that, okay, I still have this CN equals to Tola John. Okay. CN equals to Tola John. Then OU equals to group. Do you think there'll be a complaint while I try to add the entry to the server? Do you think there'll be a complaint? No. It will never, because the path is different now. Do you understand? The path is different now. As if it's the same path here, then we are going to have problem. It will complain about the similar entry. You already have this. Do we understand? But I can have the same thing here. Do we understand? All right. Okay. The other, in this LDAP overview, the other things you need to know is something called LDIF. LDIF. This is what we'll be using throughout. It's like a file. Every time you want to make a change, every time you want to add something, every time you want to delete something, although it's not compulsory. Do you understand? There are other ways you can do it, but it makes it elegant. Like, I want to do this thing, just put it in a file. So whenever you want to execute that command, you just link it to that file. Do we understand? You can also as well do the same thing on the same line of command. You can write everything there. But you always find this LDF, 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 LDF. But the cool thing is that you might not need to do this if you are using a browser like PHP, LDAP admin. They have an interface where you can easily type. But if you are working on the terminal, you must learn to use all these text editing tools like Nano. Has anybody used Nano? Nano, okay. Vim. Though I use Vim a lot. I don't use I'm old school. I use Vim. I don't use Nano. But Nano seems easier to. But just that I know when you are something you use for long, you find it difficult to change. So I still use Vim till date. So you have to understand how to use Vim. Do we understand? So what is this is a standard, and the LDI file is a standard defined in the reference number 2849. Everything that is called a standard, and in the IT world, they have a reference number. Once you type this number on the internet, it's going to give you what it means, the format, this particular file format. Do we understand? So this is the reference number. It's just a standard text file format for storing LDAP configuration information and directory content. Like I said before, it's not compulsory that you should use it. But assuming you want to add 10,000 entries, we'll be typing it line by line. The best is for you to store it in a file and then link it. And that's where the programming comes handy. Imagine somebody has given you, okay, you have all your students, like imagine you have 10,000 students, and you want to upload, or maybe 10,000 employee, you want to upload the information to the server. You have to learn to be able to program it, like automate the adding, deleting, managing, because I don't know if there's anything that will do that for you. And oftentimes, maybe where you are getting it from the HR department, you ask them, please, I want all our staff information. They either send it to you in a CSV or maybe Excel. Do we understand? But it must follow, in a CSV or Excel, and I don't know there's any other common format. It's left for you to now find a way. Probably you have a development, you have a department where they develop application. You can give it to them. Okay, this is the format. They can write that for you. Just a few lines of code will do that. And the most easiest to me to write is Python. That one's very easy. So an LDF5 is a collection of entries separated from each other by blank line. You will see the format very soon. A mapping of attribute names to value, just like somebody says key and value. Key and value. Do we understand? That's the format throughout. Key and value. Key and value, like CN. If I say CN, that's the key. The value is maybe somebody's name. Do we understand? Joy, exactly. If I say username, that's the key. The value will be, maybe it can be any name, like if you go to Google, you want to create an account, they will ask you, choose a name. Do we understand? So you are the one that will decide, and that's the name that person will use forever. Or if he doesn't like that one, that means you have to delete the entry and start all over again. I've been talking too much, but the thing is very, 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 very easy. Do we understand? It's very, very easy. Maybe when we get to the practical session, you get to see all these things we are talking about. Okay, yeah. I wish I missed something before I could. No, I understand what I'm saying. I actually missed something. I'm supposed to display you, giving you a format, LDF. Please, can you let me switch to what's it called? Internet. No, browser, sorry. I want to show you a format. Do you understand? No, I want us to see it first. LDAP, LDF5 format, LDIF. Okay, LDF5, yeah. Yes. Remove the file. Samples. No, just go. Let's use the digital version. Let's see whether. Scroll down. Scroll down. Keep. Yeah, stop. Okay, let me. Okay. This is the format. You can see that this is a file. Okay. Okay. This one is already shared. So, see, look at the format. This is a file which contains 2 entries. This is the first one. This is the second one. Do you understand? Then the space that I referred to in the order and by presentation, look at the space. Can you see? So this shows that every time there is space, that means that's the next entry. Do we understand? So this is the first entry. This is the second entry. But if you look at each of the entry, it always starts with what? DN. And DN stands for what? Distinguished name. Do you understand? You can see that, okay, for every DN, look at the difference here. Look at this one. Look at this one. So that means there was the parent of the of this entry. This S brand 20 and J Smith 1. The parent of S brand 20. Okay, who is not seeing it? The parent of J Smith 1 and S brand 20. Yeah, people. Yeah. This is the parent. That means they belong to the same group. Do we understand? Both of them belong to the same group. And then under domain component, okay, somebody can. Okay, under the name component, you can see this one. How many DCs? Just 2. Do we understand? Look at this one. It's unlike the one I've been using where we have 3 DCs. Even you can have 10. You can have 20. So here we have just only 2. It's like this is an UIDS brand.people.example.com. Now, the reason why I change is this. If you see this relationship, this is like this is the key, this is the value. This is the key, this is the value. Although this one, you won't, that's when we get to the LDAP operations. This one is simply trying to add. Do you understand? You won't need this one now. Yeah, modify, this one is just adding. I don't even want to do modification now. But you will see that about whatever you see key and value. Key and value. So don't be scared. It's very, very, very straightforward. It's even easier for you to administer than SQL. There's no relationship somewhere. Maybe it's not even linked to something somewhere. Do we understand? So you have a description. See, John Smith from accounting. And then CN. Just like I said, okay, this guy put a description to know who the guy is. Do you understand? You can do your own and take a look and say the description is not necessary. But later you will pay the price in trying to find out, okay, I'm trying to locate somebody who is from accounting department. How do I locate them? Do you understand? So this one is a description, and then you have CN John Smith, SN Smith, UID J Smith. But look at this thing. All these are attributes. How did we get all these attributes? CN, SN, UID. How do we get them? CN, SN, UID? What determines they are attributes? Do you understand? But what determines the attribute is this object class. Do you understand now? What determines the kind of attribute that you can use, that you can define, is this object class. And that will take us to the schema. What is INET org person? That tells you what must be included anytime you include this. Do you understand? Like now, can you say anything like user password? You can't say anything like maybe a link to maybe picture of that employee and given name and address, and then nothing like group and maybe things like that. What actually defines the attribute that you will include are the object class. You have to define this. If you do not define this, then it's going to complain. Now, let me go back to that one that I was showing you. I plan to show you this. When you see this, like now, this INET org person. Can you let me switch back to? Or maybe before I go, let me. Okay, see, before we change it, thank you, Dari. Before we change it, look at this one. Look at this one. You can see that this one is just only a few lines. Can you see this one? This one is a what? Organization unit. Can you see the difference? Let me go back to the other one. What do we have here? Do you understand now? If you are using organization unit, you can define this. They are not part of the attribute for this. We will see get to the object class. You will see the schema, how things are defined, what you can include, the attribute that are the attribute that must be included, the attributes that are optional. Do we understand? So looking at this one is organizational unit. If I'm using object class organizational unit, it is required that I have to specify this. OU, we understand. It is required that this must be specified. You can see here that they define two organization unit. We have people and we have an other group. Okay. Yes. What defines the whatever? What defines all these components here? All you people, other group is this object class. Do we understand? If this one is not stated there, then you can have this. Please, Larry, let me switch. Yes. Okay. Okay, please let's look at this now. This is schema for object class. The name of the object class is what? Person. This is another one, like an INET org person, like organizational unit. Do we understand? So this is why, this is where it is defined. You see description and what is it called? This is the top. This one is structural. I will explain all this one later. Then it must include what? Do we understand now? If I include in that line, anytime I make inclusion of an object class person, if I say, okay, key object class, then value person, that means I must include what? SN and CN. Do we understand? If I do not mention this, there will be error. But optional things are what? Telephone number. Do we see now? User password, telephone number, see also description. Those are optional. Do we understand? Then this is another object class. Object. You hardly use you won't use this. Okay. Now we are going to the attributes. You discover that everything is well defined. They have their own schemas, even the attributes. You can't just pick any attribute and store anything there. How does it get to know the data type it's going to accept? You know anything about data types? I don't want to ask you. Data types. Okay. Good. Binary, strings. Yeah. So this define the kind of the data types for the attributes. Whether it's going to accept integer or data type. There are so many. Do we understand? This is also the schema. You can see that this one attribute type, this is the number, name, telephone number. What does it? Equality telephone number match, and substring telephone number substring match. Then syntax, you can leave all this one. This is also a standard. Leave this number for now. But this number refers to this one type. And this one open, I think it's open something OID, open identity. They are all registered. So this is the number for ID for Boolean, directory string, distinguish name, integer, numeric string, OID, octet string. Okay. Okay.
My question is, can we have a table
Okay.
which will have the object and the different case which depend on the object, on their object?
Sorry, come again.
Can we have a table,
Okay.
a resume table,
Okay.
that we will have all the class in the LDAP file,
Okay.
LDIF,
Yes.
and a set of keys
Uh-huh.
which depend on each object class.
Okay. Like if we are using, I understand. I don't know whether we understand what
Yeah.
he's trying to say.
Yeah.
So that for ease of adding or manipulating, he's talking about, if I get you right,
Yeah.
the list of objects
Yeah.
that's available, and we have a description.
There, because
Okay.
we are key
Okay.
for each object. We have key and value.
Yeah.
Key and value.
Yeah.
And in object one, no, in object A,
Okay.
and in object B,
Okay.
we can't have the same key.
No, you can have.
You cannot have the same. In some time we haven't the
Okay.
same key for different objects.
No, the thing is that some of the objects, they inherit from each other.
Yeah. No, I don't understand.
Okay.
Perhaps you and a person is not the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In this case,
Okay.
we haven't the same key.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I want is a summary table
Okay.
where I have the object,
Okay.
and at left I have the key and their value, which depend on this specific object.
And the thing is that as you keep working,
Yeah.
you get to know the kind of object. Like you are not supposed to cram. You understand?
Mm.
It's not something you are supposed to cram. As you keep working with it, you get to know the object. Like if you are used to an organization unit every day,
Yeah.
you are used to INET org person.
Yeah.
With time, you get to know the attribute, you get to know the required, and you get to know the optional.
Mm.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So it's not for you to just maybe, okay, you can always refer to a book and check, but as you keep working with it,
Yeah.
like the practical session we are going to do today, I'm not going to open anything. I will make sure all of us fail. So I'm going to fail with you.
I do understand. I do
Okay.
understand. But in the way I am learning
Okay.
is I have to know
Okay.
where I will find what I want, just like that, and how the car go, how the wheel is made. Like
no,
that.
the thing is, like I said,
Mm.
if you are talking about the reference point,
Yeah.
I,
And to find by myself.
yeah.
How this is work,
Okay.
and to find.
Okay, I know.
Yeah.
The thing is that but you will see, I don't have a list of all those objects. I only know those that I work with.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Because the scope is wide.
Mm.
Do Do you understand?
Yeah.
We have so many object class, thousands.
Yeah.
Even as a matter of fact, you can define your own.
Yeah. Yeah. I can define my own by
Yes, you can define your own.
Yeah, by doing this.
You have to follow. Yeah, then you have to generate this number.
Yeah.
There's a way to generate this number. This is for advanced LDAP.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm expecting you don't necessarily have to cram. It's something you use every day that you get used to. Something you do every day. Like, no, you won't go outside maybe organizational unit, then INET org person, or and there's another one, POSIX and POSIX group.
Yeah.
There is POSIX account. So as you keep working with them, you get to know them. But where you will see the list is in this PHP LDAP admin. If you install that, you will see the references.
Yeah.
All the object, everything is there. PHP LDAP admin.
PHP LDAP?
LDAP admin.
Admin.
PHP LDAP admin. Yeah. Yes. No, PHP LDAP admin is an LDAP browser.
It's a web app for administrating.
Yes, it's a browser. So it will give you like, if there's an object, you don't know any about the object, you will see there.
Yeah.
You will see the table, everything is there.
That's what I want.
Okay.
You know. No, because I have hungry. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. So comparison with relational database, it's tempting to think that having a RDBN backend to directly solve all problems. However, it's not really a pig, but it's a pig. The thing is that oftentimes when you have data related to each other, you find it difficult to manipulate. You write too many queries, but this one make it very easy. Like it goes down the tree and pick exactly what it wants to. You can imagine, for instance, you are running, you have, okay, don't let me, I don't want to go there now. I want to just give a scenario whereby you will see how this thing actually work. Like, why do you have to create all this? Why do you have to create all this group? Can't we just have a group and have everybody listed in and access it? You will see the reason why. She made mention when I first asked about your understanding of LDAP. She has a printing service running on the network. And now you don't want to duplicate authentication resources like who can access what you can do. So if you have this server on your network, the web guy that is maybe a programmer, he can connect to it. People will authenticate. That means people do not have to hold multiple authentication on your network. Do you understand? They don't have to hold, okay, I have to enter into this. You go to single sign-on, you go to another department, okay, give me the account. You want to log into this, you have to go to somebody else. Everybody be like, okay, which of this one do I use to log into this one? Eventually, people will have challenge. And you must have experienced when you use Google Mail, all that. With all their services, use the same login credentials. Do we understand? Even though it's not really like an LDAP. LDAP is not single sign-on. LDAP is never single sign-on. But at the back end, LDAP is running. Do we understand? LDAP is not single sign-on. Now to the protocol. Like I said before, this defines the rules, how it operates. Okay. No, I said LDAP is not single sign-on. It's not. Single sign-on is aware. Let me explain it. Once you sign into the single sign-on server, it's aware that you have logged in. So any other service that's linked into it, they can borrow from the same session. Unlike LDAP, whereby though LDAP is the same login credentials, you still have to log in physically. You move to the next app, you still have to log in. You understand? But if it's single sign-on, the machine can identify that you've already logged in. Do you understand? Sometimes you don't even have to type your password. It will give you a token. Probably the token will expire for maybe you can say, it depends on your setting. If you are the administrator, on your single sign-on, you can say, okay, for every token issue out, probably this token should last 6 hours, and 5 hours, or 30 minutes. Okay. It's not multiple. Well, you can say it's multiple login, but you're using the same login credential. Yeah. Yes. Yes. But it's not every time you enter password when it comes to SSO. Single sign-on. Do you understand? But when it comes to LDAP, you have to use the same password. Do you understand? For anything that LDAP is linked to, you have to manually enter the password. But single sign-on will give, once you log in, it will give you a token. It can identify the system where you log in. SSO can identify that one, but LDAP cannot do that. We understand. That's how Google gets to know that you've already logged into the mail service, so you don't need to type your password when you go to the Google Drive. You understand? It's seen that it's giving your browser a token. So until when that token expires, or some will expire when you close browser, but there are some that will not even expire. They expire that you close your browser.
Open many other services to access. It's just a gate to open many other services to access. That's it. The single sign-on. You sign on once, you can access to multiple services depending on this area. Yeah.
Yes. That means even that service must be linked to that single sign-on service too. Yeah, that's where almost all of them. Like if you are in your school, if you are using a Grammarly, if you are the administrator or Turnitin, you will see single sign-on. They will ask you, do you have an IDP? IDP is an identity provider. And most of the IDP at the back end is LDAP. Yeah, Grammarly has a single sign. That means you're okay like now. If you are using Grammarly service, look, we don't have to create an account for your staff. Just link it to your SSO. So once they log in, they don't have to type their password when they get to Grammarly again. It will only give Grammarly a token that, okay, this person is authenticated and is also our staff. That's all. You understand? Yeah. So we're talking about the protocol, LDAP protocol overview, but please give me.
Hello, Anjitatunde. Hello. Hello.
Sorry. Now we'll move on to a protocol overview. Client start an LDAP session by connecting to our LDAP server. The default port, like I said before, is 389. Can you use UDP? Do we know the difference between TCP and UDP? My system people can help me there. The network people. Yeah, I know it's a protocol, but the difference between the two. Yes. Why exactly? We know it's faster, but however, you have some issues.
Yeah, TCP. No, TCP need to connect to the destination before sending informations. But UDP don't need to connect to the destination.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's why it takes longer.
That's
so UDP is
the
faster.
difference is TCP need to connect to the destination before sending information, so that you can verify if packets are going through. But using UDP, you cannot be sure if the destination are reaching the key.
So there's no guarantee that maybe data is sent is received. There's no guarantee that data sent is received. That's UDP. But TCP, there will be an acknowledgement that, okay, this is received. They will be received. Yeah. So do we understand that one now? So it's left to you. If you are careful about your bandwidth consumption, you can probably change it to, you can make it run to UDP 389. But where you have good bandwidth, you can use, well, we always encourage people to use TCP. Because I want to be sure what I'm sending is reaching. Do we understand? Similar to what the other protocol that use UDP is DNS. You understand? DNS doesn't need to confirm whether you receive it. Just push it out. So far, you can request as many times as you want. That's why it doesn't care. Do you understand? Now, client send a operation request to the server. The server send response in return. That's if it receive it using UDP. That's the condition. But there will always be guaranteed that it will be received using TCP. And then with some exception, the client need not wait for a response before sending the next request. Server may send the request in any order. And the thing about the LDAP server is that anytime you perform an operation on it, there will always be a response. Either it's successful. At times when it's silenced, that means it doesn't work. So I experienced it before. I didn't get any response. It just didn't say nothing. I tried and tried. It didn't say nothing. Instead of giving me error, it didn't even say no. I didn't get any error message. It just went blank. But for a successful operation, you always get a response. You will get a message that, okay, probably if you've done modification, if you don't update or addition, you will get a response to that. Okay. In what sense? I don't. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I don't understand I don't know if you can blow. Okay.
It's either iterative or recursive. Once you request something from the server, it uses recursive first. Then if it doesn't have what you what you're requesting, then it uses iterative. So can we works in both ways?
Well, based on your definition, it works both ways because just like TCP and UDP. You understand? That context of TCP and UDP. If it's UDP, you might not get response.
So it works both on UDP and TCP.
Yes.
Okay.
But it doesn't look like I answered your question. Yeah, TCP is reliable, but UDP saves you bandwidth. But that doesn't guarantee that maybe the information you send is received using UDP. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Like you cited an instance. There are times like you don't, you just want to push out. You don't care. Yes.
Okay, online call, phone by IP, use UDP because we don't need to confirm that you receive the packet, the voice packet. In the voice, if I'm talking and you miss a little bit, it won't be hard for you to understand what I'm saying. When I'm talking like this and you miss a word, you can still understand what I'm saying, isn't it? So the voice through IP use UDP protocol. So if a packet is lost, it's not a problem. The person can still hear understanding what the other is saying.
Hello. Okay. I think it's time for tea break. It's for how many minutes? 15 minutes. We've gone past the normal time. Thank you. So we'll converge in 15 minutes time for the next. So we'll pick it up from protocol overview.